Great to see you. My name is Mike Rupsch. I'm an account executive for Aurora Employee Assistance Program. Why am I here? I'll tell you in a second. Today's topic is about resilience, but it's different than any resilience presentation or stress management or burnout presentation that you've ever been to. It is evidence-based. Does everybody know what that means, evidence-based? And to my mind, it's best practice. I used to do stress management training, but it is so boring. And people walk out of the session feeling worse than when they came in. It's like, now I have stress symptoms? Oh my God. And now I have to practice coping skills. Coping skills. When the heck am I going to find time to practice coping skills? So this is very different. I will tell you a little story about how I got here, okay? I won't do stress management anymore. I had to tell my boss, I won't do it. If one of my customers calls up, I'm talking them into this. Let's see. About a year and a half ago, I was getting ready to turn a 0 birthday. You all know what that means? Milestone. Yep, milestone. I'm not going to tell you the first number, but when it turns 9, I'll tell you that, okay? So I was getting ready for that, and I spent the whole 9 year before kind of getting psychologically prepared, because it was a big one. I am a jazz guitarist. I've been playing guitar since college. And I have an idol mentor. His name is Bucky Pizzarelli. He's 89 years old. He's one of the greatest jazz guitarists to ever play. He plays a 7-string jazz guitar. I always wanted a 7-string guitar. And it always was at the bottom of the family budget. And it was inching its way up to the top right around the same time. And I'm thinking, yes, yes. And then my son, who's a music student at the University of Minnesota, he's a double bass major. His professor, he got there his freshman year, his professor told him right away, you really need a higher quality bass. And I knew that was coming, but just as my guitar is getting to the top, boom, it's okay. Over $10,000 later, he's got his bass, and I'm back at the bottom of the list. So we just waited, and I went and heard Bucky play at a jazz festival, and I'd seen him many, many times. And I had a religious experience. And I came home in a daze, and I said to my wife, I must have my 7-string guitar before the end of the year. Well, it still hadn't inched up, but unbeknownst to me, my wife had tucked away just a little bit of money. And out of nowhere, she says, a couple months before my birthday, she said, you need a 7-string guitar before you turn 0. And now go out and find it. And of course, the first thing I thought was, I married the right woman. And I went out and I found it. And creativity in my life, which has always been an integral part of my life, oh, wow, it just exploded. Well, at the same time, I used to paint, watercolor paint and painting. And my wife is a painter, and she would encourage me to get back into it, and I never did. So at the same time, while this music creativity is starting to churn even more than usual, I decided to start painting. And I'm going to talk a little bit about responding to creative opportunities. And I came home, my wife wasn't home yet, and I was just feeling charged up on a beautiful fall day, and I went right to her art table, and I took out a piece of paper. I never even sat down, and I just went, that ain't bad. And so I started painting again, and I'm still painting. And so creativity just exploded in my life. Well, that's all going on. I turned the 0 birthday. The following, a couple months later, it's January. The first week in January, I'm reading the Huffington Post. Everybody knows what the Huffington Post is. Does everybody know what a TED Talk is? Yes, TED Talk? Okay. And I'm watching reading the Huffington Post. There's a sidebar that says, watch the 6 most popular TED Talks of the year. I thought, that's cool. I clicked on it. And the one that my eyes lit upon right away was, this game will add 10 years to your life. I thought, 10 years? I'm having so much fun. Yeah, let's go for it. And I clicked, and it changed my life. Well, the other things were changing my life, but it changed my life. It was a TED Talk by Jane McGonigal, and she's in your handout. I want to make sure people in the back have handouts. Oh, we need two. Okay. Make sure. Here, I'll give you some more. You can make sure. Anybody else? Good, good, good. We're all good? Okay. So her TED Talk is about resilience. Here's a little bit of her story, but I want you to go, when you get back to your office or you get home, I want you to Google Jane McGonigal. The spelling is in your handout, okay? And I want you to watch that TED Talk. In 19 minutes and 30 seconds, at that point, she said everything I have been trying to say for 25 years in the behavioral health field. She said it, boom. And she said it so cleanly and so uniquely, probably because she's not a healthcare provider. And she brought new and different eyes to the topic. Here's a little of her story. And I have to go fast because we have a lot to do, but here's her story. She is a top flight PhD video game developer and researcher. She's maybe the most highly sought after speaker. She had a concussion. When you watch that TED Talk, you'll see what a highly creative and exciting person she is. She had a concussion, and the doctor said, in recovery, you have to stop watching screens. Screens, all sorts of screens. And you could imagine that she became severely depressed in 3 months' time, and she began to have suicidal ideation, which was, she woke up. She talks in the TED Talk. She woke up one morning and had suicidal thoughts. She was severely depressed for 3 months, and then she woke up. So that's a lesson to all of us, especially people who work in, who are working in human resources. When you have an employee who's severely depressed, it's not something they like complain about. Oh, I'm so depressed, I guess I just want to die. No, it happens like that, and that's what happened to her. And she had the presence of mind to step back and ask herself, what do I do? I make video games. I wonder if someone can help me make a video game to help me in my recovery. And she created this video game. It's called Super Better. Superbetter.com. You got to go check that out too. Superbetter.com. All one word, Super Better. It is a goal-setting and goal-achieving video game, social media video game, that you can set any goal. For her, it was recovering from her concussion. But it can be anything. It can be chronic illness, acute illness. It can be, I want to lose 25 pounds. It can be, I want to walk a 5K. It can be anything. I did a presentation once, and a woman said, I want to be a better parent. She had a 1-year-old. I want to be a really good parent. And I said, Super Better. It's perfect for it. Afterwards, if you're interested, I'll tell you more about it. So at the bottom of page 1, here are our objectives. We're going to identify and practice the 5 components of resilience, review how acts of everyday creativity can improve quality of life. As per Jane McGonigal's TED Talk, we are going to add, if you're willing. You have to tell me if you're not willing. I'll assume that you are willing to add 7.68245 837 minutes to your life. Right now, here. Today, before you walk out. Are you all willing to do that? We're going to do it together, okay? And I hope we're going to have some fun, which is the most important thing. So, you've been to presentations when the presenter spends a good part of the beginning of the presentation defining the thing. And so, we're going to define it? No, we'll do it instead. Doing it is even better. So, I told you at the bottom of page 2 about her TED Talk. What happened is she started to do the research, and she thought, I wonder if people regret, if they have deathbed regrets, and I wonder if anybody's researched it. Now remember, this is an evidence-based talk I'm doing. And guess what? There are people out there who've researched deathbed regrets and have identified the 5 most common deathbed regrets. She also stumbled onto information about post-traumatic growth. If you have a group of people who have a tragic or traumatic event, a very small percentage will develop post-traumatic stress disorder. If it's a veteran who has seen combat, it will be a little bit higher percentage. But most people just have a normal crisis response and they move on with their life. But there's a good part of both of those groups who experience post-traumatic growth, which is a growthful experience following a tragic or traumatic event. So I don't want you to look at the next slide. I want to juxtapose those 2 groups of 5 things, okay? And so you can just sit there and listen to this. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. My priorities have changed. I'm not afraid to do what makes me happy. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I feel closer to my friends and family. I wish I would have let myself be happier. I understand myself better. I know who I really am now. I wish I had the courage to express my true self. I have a new sense of meaning and purpose. I wish I'd lived a life true to my dreams instead of what others expected of me. I am better able to focus on my goals and my dreams. And maybe that triggered some thoughts and ideas for you. This handout looks different than all the other ones you're probably getting today. I made it big and I made it in color because as a painter I know that color is very engaging. And this is your roadmap, your resilience roadmap. And so we're going to do some writing in this. And the first thing, at the bottom of page 3, I'm going to read these sentence stems out loud. And I would like you to write down the first thing that pops into your mind. I am happiest when friends and family that care about me and make a difference are. Here's some more handouts. I learn more about myself when. What brings me meaning and purpose? Some of my goals and dreams are. So I hope this is going to begin to be a roadmap on your journey of resilience. Notice I didn't say to resilience, I said of resilience. Language, one word, shifts perspective. If I say to resilience, the assumption is there's a thing out there that I will achieve, and when I get there, I'll have resilience, as opposed to your journey of resilience. Jane McGonigal's research showed that you can add up to 10 years to your life if you practice those 4 components of resilience, and I've added one. And, whoops, I got to turn the page. I tried to save the trees and copy it on both sides. So here are the 5 components of resilience, and this is our opportunity to begin to earn our 7.68245837 minutes that you agreed that you're willing to work on. Physical, mental, emotional, social, and everyday creativity. Remember I said that this changed my life? I'm living this every single day. I play Jane's video game, Super Better, every day. My goal, which she calls an epic win, my goal is to play guitar with Bucky Pizzarelli again. June 19th. I'm going. And I'm bringing my new 7-string guitar. And I just wanted to tell you that. So my comments are evidence research-based, but there's a lot of anecdotal stuff about my own experience with it. So we're going to first work on physical resilience, okay? And we'll do it. I'll tell you about the science, and then we'll do a little writing. And that's how you earn your minute plus in each category. Ready? Okay? So physical, get up. Get up, get up, get up. All right? Move a little bit. Spread out, stretch. Look at the other person next to you. Smile a little bit. We're going to talk a lot about smiling. Yeah, take a deep breath. Sigh. A sigh is different than a huffy. A huffy is what teenagers do. Sigh is healthy. Okay, have a seat. Here's what the science says. Get up. The science says get up. I bet. This is a great group, Steve. Steve's my colleague back there. He's been through this already. So it must be okay if he's here again. I bet some of you have either thought about, heard about, read about, or been told you have to exercise 30 to 60 minutes every day. Yeah? Right, right. But you know what the science shows? Getting up every 30 minutes and moving for a minute is better for you. Is that amazing or what? Get up. There's a guy out there selling a treadmill thing. Great, but you don't have to have a stand-up desk. Just get up every 30 minutes. That's all it takes. Look at all the stuff you get out of it. Decrease the likelihood of heart disease. The American Cancer Research Institute recommends that all Americans get up every 30 minutes and move 1 to 2 minutes to decrease the likelihood of certain cancers. So you get up and you decrease the likelihood you're going to get cancer. What is that? That is so empowering. I started doing that, and someone asked me, well, what difference does it make? I feel a sense of personal empowerment that this little thing that I can do every day through the day will improve my health. I have control over that. I don't have to join a club. I don't have to follow some wellness plan my employer has decided I should do. I just have to get up. Isn't that cool? It's better than exercising 30 to 60 minutes a day. Okay, so the bottom of page 5, to earn your minute or so, you have to write down, how do you already practice physical resilience? Maybe you exercise. Maybe you walk your dog. Maybe you make sure you go to the water fountain and keep that water bottle filled up. Maybe you like to walk and hike. Maybe you run. Maybe you do strengthening work. Whatever it is, write it down. And then write down something you want to do even more. Okay, you got a couple more seconds to do that because we got to keep going. We'll have 5 more components to work on, or 4 more. Okay, we're ready to go. Second category or component of resilience is mental resilience. Mental resilience is all about how you keep your brain alive. You can just imagine Jane McGonigal's doing all this research on resilience. Her brain is just firing like crazy. So maybe you have a hobby. What are you curious about? What really interests you and catches your attention? Okay, so we need to practice some mental resilience. We're going to do it real simple, real simple. We're going to spend about a minute. We're going to count backwards by 7s from 100, or calculate your multiplication tables for 7s. 7s are the hard ones, right? You can do it out loud or you can do it to yourself. Ready, set, go. 93, 86. You think I'd have this memorized by now? 86, 70, 8, 71, 64, 57, 50. It doesn't matter if you get off track, if you're counting backwards. Just keep doing it. There's no right answer. Quick, what's 7 times 8?
56.
Good. That's the one I almost forgot. All right, you got it. Listen to this cool stuff. Lifelong learning positively affects well-being, mental health challenges, and stress coping. I hate that term, stress coping, but for what it's worth. Mind wandering and daydreaming improve working memory and creative problem solving. Mind wandering. We could have done that for our mental resilience. We could have just sat for a minute and let our minds wander. That would have been cool. My wife is a school social worker. A teacher comes up to her. She works with elementary school kids. A teacher comes up to her and says, I have this boy, I think he was like 2nd or 3rd grade. He stares out the window like all day. My wife knows about this stuff, right? And so what she wanted to say to the teacher, and the teacher says, can you fix him? What she wanted to say to the teacher that she did not for political reasons was, she said, she wanted to say, I think everybody should be staring out the window. Yeah. The schools have stripped curriculum of creativity. So a teacher could just have students spend 3 minutes staring out the window. And then after they do that for a while, and the teacher finds out they are not going to make trouble, right? Because you'd think, oh, the classroom is going to be crazy. find out that they won't make trouble, and then maybe they could, the teacher could say, well, here's an interesting problem. Well, let's think about it. And everybody drifts off. All right. What else? Curiosity. This is my favorite one. There was a study, 2-year study of men 60 to 85 years old. Now, I won't tell you if I fall in within that time frame. They were studying the effects of curiosity. And so at the end of the 2-year study, and they created a curiosity scale. And so at the end of the study, the 2-year study, they looked at who was the most curious. And the people who were most curious were more likely to be alive. So if you're curious, and I'm going to guess you all are because you came here today to this presentation, you are curious. So if you're curious tomorrow, you're more likely to be alive. So look in the mirror and be curious. So curiosity is all about what fascinates you, what interests you. What do you like to learn about? Do you have a hobby? So at the top of page 7, write down, how do you practice mental resilience? Personally, I love numbers. Any opportunity I have to learn about numbers, I went on Wikipedia today because I wanted to see what the speed of light was. If you're interested, stop and see me afterwards. And then identify one other way you want to do it. Then we're going to move on to emotional resilience. All right, you finish writing, you have earned your minute plus. Okay, we've got 2 down. Let's keep going. Emotional resilience is next. I have to tell you that I'm rushing because I've got 45 minutes and I can spend up to 2 hours on this. So we're going to keep cooking because you've got to have your minutes. Emotional resilience. All the research on positive psychology, and yes, there's a whole field of positive psychology. Psychologists study positive emotions, positive thinking, and the effects on health. And they found that for every negative emotion or thought you can have 3 positive ones. You can. 3 positive ones. And here are 4 guaranteed ways to do that. And the first one is smile. So everybody, you got to earn it, right? Yeah, is everybody smiling? Good. Good. I'll talk about the studies in a second. Humor. Have you folks watched the Android commercial with the animals, the baby animals? Let me see. How many have watched that? Oh, you gotta, those of you who haven't, Google, after you watch Jane McConigal, Google Android baby animals. And there's a commercial to a Roger Miller song from the movie, the animated movie, The Fox and the Hound. Some of you may remember that Disney movie. It is so absolutely precious. I watched it 4 times this morning. It is just the most wonderful thing. In her TED Talk, Jane McGonigal talks about the research that shows when people think about the cutest baby animal they can remember, they get a jolt of oxytocin. And oxytocin is the compassion, caring hormone. When you have oxytocin on board, you feel more care and compassion. You're more likely to be altruistic. And we'll talk about that one in a second, too. So there's humor for you. If you have a pet, you'll know you can remember humorous things. If you are with young children every day, and my wife comes home with stories all the time, you have lots of opportunities to find humor in life. Gratitude is another thing that can increase emotional resilience. So really quick, I want you to write down, you've got about 15 seconds, 3 things you're grateful for. Next, optimism. One thing you're optimistic about, and try this one. One thing you're looking forward to. Guaranteed to churn up some emotional resilience. What are you looking forward to? How many of you are gardeners? Let me see a show of hands. Gardeners, you have a lot to look forward to this time of year. Yeah, the seed catalogs, maybe you've put in your order already. Maybe you've got them already. Oh, you're thinking about dirt. You're thinking about compost. You're thinking about that smell of crap in your soil. Optimism, another form of emotional resilience. But maybe it's other things, like my son is playing in the opera, a Mozart opera at school next month. And so I'm really looking forward to going and hearing him play. So what does emotional resilience do for you? Lots. Smiling improves health. Period. These people who smile are healthier. People who smile are perceived as more good looking. Yeah, well, I need help, so I have been smiling on it. And this is the one, when my mood starts to go down, I start to complain, I feel tired or logy at work, I can't focus myself. This is the one I'm not doing enough. So I have all sorts of tricks to make myself smile. And I'll give you one in a second. Also, people like you more when you smile. When you smile at someone else, by way of mirror neurons, which are special neurons in the brain that serve to fire off the part of your brain that would go off when you do that. So when you smile at someone, the smile part or happy part of their brain lights up. The studies showed that when people held a pen like this, the happy part of their brain lit up because they smiled. And when they stopped it, it shut off. So when you smile at someone, you're practicing social resilience. We'll talk about that in a second. And you're sharing something. You're being altruistic when you smile at someone. And people who are altruistic, that is, giving to others without the expectation of receiving anything. Right? You smile at someone, you don't expect to get something back. You just smile at them. Well, people who are altruistic live longer. And you can help yourself live longer. So you see how these components of resilience are sort of weaving, right? Imagine you've got a tapestry, and that's you. The tapestry is you. And these 5 components are weaving through your tapestry that is you. And they cross over, and they run parallel, and they're each a beautiful, bright, luscious color. You know, like red. The primary colors, red and yellow and blue, and then green and maybe purple. Orange, beautiful. And you're making that happen by practicing resilience. So, positive emotions trigger positive actions, which trigger positive emotions, which trigger positive actions. In her brilliant video game, which I play every day, it's the best source, it's the best program for setting and achieving goals. She has a part in there that reviews the research on positive emotions. Studies show that people who have positive emotions are more likely to achieve a goal. And so in this part of Super Better, which is called Power Ups, all you do is identify things that make you feel good. And they don't have to be related to your goals. So it could be smile. Well, that one is guaranteed. And you know, it's on my list. Move. Move makes me happy. I have one of these things here. I'm not going to tell you if you want to know what brand it is, because I'm not selling something, you can talk to me later. But it has an idle alert on it. And it buzzes, and I get up, and I feel better. I'm creating physical health, but I'm also creating emotional resilience, right? Creating positive emotions, it can be anything. Looking forward to something, right? Stopping for a minute and thinking, oh, what am I looking forward to today? Oh, I'm going to cook some vegetables tonight. Ooh, how am I going to do that? Yeah, Steve and I are on the same wavelength. He's a gardener. I keep trying to mooch vegetables off of him. I'm praying for a good season. Okay, so write down, how do you practice emotional resilience? And how would you like to do it even more? Okay, we've got to do it quick because I'm talking too much. We have to earn your points. That's the most important thing here. Earn your minutes. For those of you who came in late who didn't hear me at the beginning, we are earning 7.68245,837 minutes today, now. And if you came in late before we started talking about physical resilience, you have to do it yourself to get the full 7 minutes. Okay, top of page 9. A nice little exercise that I created that includes smiling. We all have times when we're sitting at our desk at work, maybe flustered, maybe frustrated, or some of you may call it frustrated, and maybe tired. And all you need to do is stop. Breathe as many times as you need to. Thank goodness you still are. Notice how your feelings can ease. Then continue. And then smile. Or you could put smile at the beginning if you want to. It's a nice little tool to have in your toolbox. Okay, next is social resilience. We're going to earn it. Turn to the person next to you, smile, and learn something about them. Here, I'll meet you. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
I'm good.
Very nice. Good, good. Tell me about you.
I'm very good at building and resources, and I'm a mother of an 11-year-old daughter, and I love animals.
Oh, you do? Good. Good, good, good. Well, I love to cook vegetables. I do. Last summer was the first time we got a share in an organic garden, organic farm. And so we would get boxes of produce, depending on what was ripe that week. And I would sit at work and think, oh, what am I going to cook tonight? Yeah, yeah, fun. Yes, I do. I cook without recipes. I look at what's in my refrigerator and I just kind of go with it. Well, and sometimes, I sit at work sometimes and think about what I have in the refrigerator and what I'm going to do with it. It's fun. Okay, great, great, great. Okay. I love it when a group talks. Okay, you did it. Smiling. Whoop! I didn't turn the page because remember it's two-sided. Social resilience. There's a lot of research on this. You're more likely to be alive if you have a positive, supportive social support network. Social support is as powerful as smoking cigarettes. There was a study that showed men who had a first heart attack, if they smoked, they were more likely to have a second heart attack, of course. If they did not have a strong social support network, they were equally as likely to have a second heart attack. So it tells you how powerful our emotions are. Practicing gratitude is another thing that we talked about in emotional resilience. The study that showed that people who with chronic pain disorders who were in this gratitude study, at the end of the study, they reported fewer symptoms or signs of pain. That was not narcotics. They hadn't changed their dose of narcotics. It was all how they thought. That's how powerful we are. So, what else does it do? Manages depression better, effects of stress better. I talked about altruism, decreases mortality, helps with the management of diabetes, which is something, as some of you are, well, all of you are here at a wellness conference, you're concerned about diabetes and blood pressure. Okay? All of these things, it turns out, help with that. So, social resilience. Write down what you do already at the bottom of page 10 and what you'd like to do even more. And then we'll quickly go on to creativity. Okay, everyday creativity. I talked about painting and I talked about playing guitar, and those are obviously sources of creativity for me. But creativity is way beyond that. My definition of everyday creativity is this. It is how you put your unique stamp on your life. How you put your unique stamp on life. That is creativity. It can be anything. It is everything. And we all do it every day. Like, how many of you are into fashion? Like to look at your clothes the night before or the day you're going to work, and you look and you go, oh yeah, this goes with this. I spent a lot of time deciding what tie to wear today. I got a new jacket. Steve knows I just recently bumped up my Jerry Garcia tie collection. The Kohl's blows them out at the end of the year, in the beginning of the new year. Literally, $8, $4. I bought 35 ties. My wife thinks I need to check into a program. It can be how you problem solve. It can be how you clean the house. It can be a hobby you have. It can be so many different things. At the top of page 11, it's about what you love to do. How do you play? How do you have fun? How do you make your life interesting, special, challenging? What do you like to learn about? When's the last time you tried something new? What was that? How do you enjoy and savor life? Have you ever just looked at a painting and one that you're attracted to, you like, and you just look at it and you savor that moment? You savor a meal? My family is way into food, and we know how to savor a meal. Do you respond to creative opportunities? They're everywhere. The first time I went to the University of Minnesota campus, we walked out of the Union. I looked left. There was this great building, modern, contemporary architecture, kind of stainless steel, bright and shiny, with all of these cubes jutting out of it. And it was, wow. And I just was drawn to it. And so my family's like back here, and I'm walking to this building. I got to find out what it is. Well, it turns out it's the art museum. I got to walk in. I got to find this out. I turn left. There's this amazing painting, huge painting, that is a single point perspective. That means all the lines in the painting go to the middle. And it was as though the art museum drew me in. And I responded to that creative opportunity every time. And wow, that did great things for me. There is some research, some beginning research that shows when we have an experience of awe, wonder, and beauty, exceptional learning, that night, during REM sleep, genes turn on. And those genes facilitate brain growth. Is that cool? So go to the symphony or whatever gets you going. Turn your brain on. Here's amazing research about everyday creativity. Everyday creativity slows cognitive decline throughout the aging process. So I read that while I'm doing all of this creative stuff, and I realized I'm adding 10 years to my life. And now I find out my brain is going to be still alive when I get to the 10 years. And I'll probably be retired by then, right? And so I'm going to be having so much fun. I want as much of my brain left as possible. But here's the most remarkable thing. In a study of nursing home residents, a 2-year study, who were in art classes, all different sort of art classes. At the end of the 2-year study, they had fewer doctor visits, they took fewer medications, and the most astounding thing is they had fewer falls. So people who do art are less likely to fall. At the end of one of the journal articles I read, they had pictures of the residents who were in the art programs. They had choirs, they had painting, they had jewelry making, they had poetry. There was a guy in the poetry class who was reading one of his poems, and he was 100 years old. And he'd just written that poem. There was a man, they asked him, why did he like the jewelry class? He said he loved it because he gets to make something beautiful for his wife every week. Think of resilience. He's got 5 components. Physical resilience. He got out of his room, whether he walked or someone moved him in a wheelchair. He had to get out. And then he's moving objects in space, making jewelry. So that's physical. Mental, he's learning all about jewelry making. Emotional, he has this strong emotional bond to his wife that he's expressing through jewelry. Social resilience, he gets out of his room, he talks to other people in the class, right? And then obviously he's being creative. And all of those things are woven through the tapestry that is this man who lives in a nursing home. Who would have guessed that it would happen in a nursing home? So, where are we at? I want to help you with the everyday creativity. So here's another sentence stem exercise at the top of page 12. Write down the first thing that pops into your mind. I love to. I feel a sense of fulfillment when. I'm curious about. I have fun when. I use my imagination when. I love to learn about. And then, the bottom, how do you practice everyday creativity? Every one of you can write something down there. And then what else would you like to do? Or what do you want to do even more? I have so many stories I could tell you about people I met in the presentations I've done about this very slide, how you practice everyday creativity. Amazing. I found out Steve is a portrait artist. I would never have known that. Cooking. Definitely. Baking. Cutting the lawn. Shoveling the snow. I love to shovel the snow. I don't have a snow blower. Okay, you got it. You have got it. We're probably running short on time, aren't we? I got a minute. Okay. Well, what we would have done if we had more time on the top of page 13 is I would have you get up again and I would have you share with each other and learn about what the other person does. Maybe you can still do that today. So here's your definition if you have to have one, thanks to Jane McGonigal. It's being realistically optimistic, flexible, curious, motivated, and determined. And you are all of those things. You're optimistic. I can tell that. You did all of the 5 exercises I wanted you to do. You're flexible because you came in here thinking I was going to lecture you about how to make your employees more resilient. Nope, we didn't do that. So you're flexible. You're curious because you're sitting here. You're motivated. I know that because you're sitting here. And you're determined because you pushed through to the end to earn your 7.68253,857 minutes. So, resilience and quality of life. All things being equal, you might add up to 10 years to your life if from this day forward you practice your 5 components of resilience. But be that as it may, we all have genetic makeup. We all have family history, tragedy, illness, strikes. Previous lifestyle may affect your overall health. And so even if you don't earn or add 10 years to your life, as you practice resilience this day forward, and you've earned your minutes today, right? So as you practice resilience this day forward, what will the quality of your life be? I'll tell you, it'll be better. Last year, if I had done a presentation like this, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. It will change your life in a positive way. And so to make that easy for you, I have the slide number 14. I guess you could call it a summary slide. It's the, how simple is that? Physical, get up. Mental, be curious. Emotional, smile. Social, say hello to someone and smile. You'd be giving them a gift. And everyday creativity, please, please, do what you love every day, even just a little. And then ask yourself the last question of the day: how will I spend my 7.68245,837 extra minutes? Who knows? Thank you all very much for coming. Good luck.